Hi everyone, Jared here. Time for the market video update. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend and you're ready to get back to the markets. We had a really great run last night from entries that were talked about in the notes for the start of the UK session for the open of the week, and that went really well. We had a nice trade this morning on the euro dollar. The markets are just moving nicely and the pips are coming out really great, so that's good. We've seen that the Dow and some of the equities markets kind of performed a little lackluster today. The Dow is really struggling with that 13,000 mark, and you can see that it's staying below that pretty nicely. We had a really interesting morning in the Dow, by the way. It was down about 100 points and it was up about 40, and then we see it close about just about even. Oil has definitely come down a little bit, about $1.50, $2 today. It was way up at 109, which is uncomfortably high. And gold has come down just a little bit as well. So we're going to look at those and kind of how that's running. We don't have any afternoon interesting news for anything, so no problem there on any of the yen or Aussie pairs. But coming into the UK session, we don't really have anything too interesting there either. U.S. session tomorrow morning. Durable goods, core durable goods. That's a big announcement. So we're going to keep our eyes on that and see how that turns out in the morning, Tuesday morning. We also have consumer confidence. That's a pretty important one. And then we've got a couple of other Australia, New Zealand, and Switzerland announcements. So we'll keep an eye on that. Dollar index. Kind of interesting. This dollar index is just looks like it could be double bottoming. Looks like we could have a breakout. You can see kind of a trend line along there. This could be a breakout down. It could be a whole number of things. And so we're just going to have to keep a really close eye on that and see where that goes and see how that moves as we go on. Okay, guys, looking at this euro dollar. So we had this trend line. I just deleted this because it's already done. But we had this trend line that we were watching on this euro dollar. Actually, that was a little higher there, but we saw this nice breakout and a good little run down, and it's kind of run down to the area that I talked about. It actually touched it during the U.S. session this morning, which was 133.65. This is a key support right now. And on the medium term, on the slightly longer term even, we need to get below this before we have much of a reliable sell signal. We do still have a bit of a downtrend in play. We're still in this downward channel. Everything's looking good there, but the euro's been pretty bullish. It's been pretty strong. It's now coming off some strong resistances here. You can see this 130. It's about 13500. We've got a lot of resistance there, and the market's hitting that and kind of coming off that. And so we're gonna have to watch and see where this goes. But you can see this trend line right here. This is like a 2-week trend line, and if the euro starts to break this, we could see some interesting things happen. Now, don't be surprised if we see a little bit of a dip down and a bounce up and a potential double top. It could break, it could double top, but that would make this 133.65 level even more important. If we did see a double top up there and it came right back down to it, then we could pretty much count on a huge breakout there. But for the short term, we've got this little trend line. You can see it on the 15-minute chart. You can see it on the 5-minute chart. Market's just kind of running up this area, and so we're probably going to have a bit of a short-term run down here if we can get below some of these key points, 133.85, 133. 90, right in that general area. But ultimately, we're going to have to do anything that we do on the sell side is going to be a little bit short-lived because we're only going to be trading it to 133.65. So there may be 20 to 25 pips maximum in there, but we really got to get below that level before we have a real big legitimate selling signal. Now, if the market stays above this and say bounces off this trend line and doesn't do anything too good, we've got a nice 1-hour crossover, so this could very likely be starting to head down just a bit more. But if it doesn't do anything there, then we've got some kind of sharp trend lines that we can keep an eye on. You can see this kind of area here that the euro is just kind of, for the most part, staying below. So if we start to get some breaks of this, then I think that would be significant as well. What I'm really looking for is more of the level itself than the trend line. And you can see that we've got a pretty well-defined level here about 134.15, so about 25 pips above where the market currently is. And there's some little short-term guys we can probably keep an eye on, but I think to really get any kind of significant movement, we've got to get below 133.65 or we've got to get above 134.15. One of those two need to give before we can get any really good steady movement. So keep an eye on that, and we'll watch that. But euro's looking kind of heavy, but it still is definitely in a short-term uptrend, long-term downtrend. Pound dollar, same kind of thing on the pound dollar. We had a nice breakout on this guy. It was a little bit choppier and had a little bit more of a difficult time coming down. The pound dollar is staying very nicely. It's right up to that trend line, descending trend line. It's right up to this 200-day moving average, and it's really kind of double topped up here. We've got a pretty good channel going on. You can see this happening right here, and the pound dollar is just bouncing from the bottom to the top and back to the bottom and so on. But in this channel right here, the pound is coming back up off that, and big double top there, but we also had a big double bottom. It's going to be a little interesting to see what it does, but I think the level to watch for right now is going to be this guy. This trend line right here has been tested very nicely, and it's right back to it. And we've also kind of started to break this 158.25, which I identified in the notes is a pretty strong point if we were selling, and so we made it all the way down there and beyond. 158.00 is probably going to be a very crucial level, and that's just right below this little low right here. You can see that the market tested 158.00 here and then had a big, huge drop. But 158.00 been tested here, and it's going to be tested here again. I think that's probably going to be our key point to get below to really confirm that this is going to be an important breakout and that the market's going to start heading down below this. So we're going to keep an eye on that. On the very, very short term, you can see that that trend line kind of matches decently well on some of these smaller time frames here, even on the 15-minute chart. So maybe there's a little bit of a short-term quick break if this gets down below about 158.10. There might be 10 to 20 pips on a move like that, but really the larger term picture that we should be watching for 158.00 to break and get some big sell signals there. Otherwise, we're going to keep an eye on this descending trend line in case this pound dollar decides it wants to run up towards those highs, and that would give us entries probably around 158. 35 to 45, somewhere in that general area, but I'm really kind of looking for this trend line to break, and I think it might actually be able to this time, so we're going to keep an eye on that. The Aussie went crazy this morning. It just decided to run up like mad. The markets were really kind of weird and nuts this morning, but the Aussie is just coming right back up to these highs. A lot of big money is shorting the Aussie dollar, and a lot of other money is looking to buy it. Technically speaking, it's had a hard time up here above these highs, but it's just kind of dipping down to that daily gap and looks like it might be able to continue back up. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what I think this Aussie dollar is going to be doing. It's really been all over the place, and our next play here is going to be to wait and see and take a trade once we have a little more of a clear signal. Could head up, could come right off those highs and come right back down. The best thing to do is probably wait and see on that one. Gold, on the other hand, is doing some very interesting movement. Gold is starting to run up this trend line right here. We've got this really strong resistance that's now turned into support, which is 1760, and gold broke our trend line. I posted this on the website yesterday, so if you guys watched any of that, you should have had a chance to take at least a 100 pip trade on gold that it did in a very, very short amount of time. You can see that as soon as that broke that level, it ran down over about 3 hours. 90 pips or so. So really nice little run on gold there. But now it's starting to kind of consolidate in here. So I'm going to be watching. It's broken that trend line and it's failed to make a higher kind of attempt here. And I think gold has got a lot of selling pressure on it now as well. So watch for 1760 to go. If this one goes, we could see some big runs down. That definitely would affect the Aussie dollar, and that will definitely affect the euro and the pound dollar as well. If gold starts to make a break, then we can really see some of those trend lines give way and head down. So we've got that coming. Best of luck, guys. I'll check in during the Asian session. We'll have notes posted again tonight, and then we'll be on Tuesday morning for our live US session. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you in the chat.